If evolution is a process that relentlessly removes biological mistakes, then allergies should not exist. Every spring, billions of people become prisoners in their own immune system. Others have it far worse. A single peanut can close their airway. A bee sting can send their body into catastrophic shock. Even something as harmless as cat hair or dust can trigger an immune response so violent that it becomes genuinely life-threatening. So what exactly is our immune system trying to protect us from? Pollen doesn't hunt people. Peanuts don't spread disease. Cats aren't parasites. So why would natural selection spend hundreds of millions of years constructing one of the most sophisticated defense systems ever evolved, only for it to panic because someone opened a window during spring? Evolution is brutal. Anything that consistently reduces survival tends to disappear. Yet allergies affect hundreds of millions of people around the world. Surely evolution had enough time to fix this, unless they aren't actually a mistake. To understand why your immune system sometimes declares war on harmless flowers, we have to go back long before humans existed. Back to a world where almost everything wanted to live inside you. Modern humans have a strange tendency to imagine prehistoric life as dirty. But even that word doesn't begin to capture reality. For almost every day of mammalian evolution, parasites were unavoidable. Tiny worms lived inside intestines. Blood-feeding insects covered the skin. Ticks carried bacteria. Mites burrowed through flesh. Fungi, protozoa, and countless microscopic organisms surrounded every meal, every stream, and every sleeping place. There was no soap, no antibiotics, no clean drinking water, no hospitals. Your immune system wasn't preparing for the occasional cold. It was preparing for constant invasion. And over millions of years, evolution built an entirely separate branch of immunity specifically for fighting those invaders. This is known as the type 2 immune response. Unlike the branch that destroys bacteria and viruses, type 2 immunity specializes in something much larger. Parasites. When parasitic worms invade the body, your immune system releases an antibody called IgE. IgE attaches itself to immune cells known as mast cells. The next time those cells encounter the same biological threat, they explode. Histamine floods surrounding tissue. Blood vessels dilate. Mucus production skyrockets. The nose begins running. The eyes start watering. You cough. You sneeze. Muscles surrounding the airways tighten. Everything about the response is designed for one goal: expel the invader as fast as possible. The same machinery that once defended your ancestors against parasitic worms now activates when someone walks past carrying pollen. So why would pollen activate an anti-parasite defense system in the first place? Because evolution doesn't identify danger the way humans do. It identifies patterns, and sometimes patterns overlap. Imagine you're designing a smoke detector. You have two options. The first is incredibly sensitive. Every now and then it goes off because someone burnt toast. The second is extremely selective. It almost never gives false alarms, but once in a while it ignores a real house fire. Which one would you buy? A few annoying false alarms are infinitely better than one missed disaster. Evolution works exactly the same way. Your immune system isn't trying to be perfectly accurate. It's trying to keep you alive. If there is even a small chance that a foreign protein belongs to a parasite, venom, or dangerous pathogen, evolution often favors attacking first and asking questions later. This principle is sometimes called error management. The cost of overreacting is usually tiny. The cost of underreacting can be fatal, and that completely changes how we should think about allergies. Pollen isn't dangerous. But your immune system doesn't know what pollen is. It only recognizes molecular shapes, proteins, chemical signatures, patterns. Some harmless environmental proteins happen to resemble the molecular fingerprints that our immune system evolved to associate with real biological threats. To your conscious brain, pollen is a flower trying to reproduce. To your immune system, it can look disturbingly similar to something trying to invade your body. Millions of years of natural selection favored immune systems that occasionally produced false positives over immune systems that occasionally failed to recognize a deadly parasite. Because only one of those mistakes gets passed on to the next generation. For decades, scientists believed allergies were simply an unfortunate accident, a biological bug that natural selection somehow forgot to patch. But over the last 2 decades, that idea has started falling apart. Researchers began noticing something strange. Many of the exact same immune pathways responsible for seasonal allergies become highly active after exposure to venom, bee venom, snake venom, spider venom, even certain marine toxins. The molecules involved were almost identical. At first, this seemed bizarre. Why would the immune system respond to pollen using machinery that also reacts to snake venom? The answer may be that it evolved for venom first. When venom enters the body, every second matters. You don't have hours to carefully analyze whether the threat is real. You need an immediate response. Histamine increases blood flow. Fluid rushes into tissues. Inflammatory molecules recruit immune cells. Damaged tissue begins repairing itself almost instantly. Experiments in mice have produced remarkable results. Animals with functioning mast cells often survive doses of venom that become significantly more dangerous when those cells are absent. The very immune cells responsible for hay fever may have dramatically increased the chances of surviving venomous bites throughout mammalian evolution. From evolution's perspective, surviving one snake bite is worth far more than sneezing every spring. Suddenly, allergies stop looking like a mistake. They begin looking like collateral damage. An ancient emergency response system, occasionally firing at the wrong target. If allergies evolved for a purpose, why do they seem far more common today than they were a few hundred years ago? The answer has almost nothing to do with evolution. Because evolution hasn't changed us. Our environment has. For almost every generation before the modern era, children grew up surrounded by microbes, soil organisms, farm animals, and intestinal parasites. The immune system expected constant training. Every infection taught it what was dangerous, and just as importantly, what wasn't. But over the last century, humanity transformed its environment faster than biology could ever hope to adapt. Clean drinking water, antibiotics, indoor lifestyles, modern sanitation, smaller families, far fewer parasitic infections. All of these changes have saved millions of lives. But they also created something evolution never prepared us for. An immune system that suddenly had far fewer genuine enemies. One of the leading explanations for this phenomenon is known as the old friends hypothesis. Rather than suggesting we simply became too clean, this idea argues that humans co-evolved alongside countless harmless microorganisms and parasites for millions of years. These ancient companions constantly regulated and calibrated our immune system. Remove them, and the immune system begins losing its sense of proportion. Imagine hiring the world's best security guard, then giving him absolutely nothing to do for years. Eventually, every stranger starts looking suspicious. Every harmless noise sounds like an intruder. The problem isn't that the guard became worse. The problem is that the environment he evolved for disappeared almost overnight. Our immune system may be experiencing exactly the same thing. At this point, the obvious question becomes impossible to ignore. If allergies sometimes hurt people, why didn't evolution simply tone the immune system down? Why not make it less sensitive? The answer is that evolution doesn't improve one trait at a time. It improves entire systems, and every system comes with trade-offs. The machinery responsible for allergies isn't an optional attachment. It is woven into one of the oldest branches of the vertebrate immune system. Take away IgE antibodies, and your ability to fight many parasitic worms collapses. Remove mast cells, and wound healing slows dramatically. Disable eosinophils, and certain multicellular parasites suddenly become far harder to eliminate. Even tissue repair begins to suffer. In other words, removing allergies isn't like deleting a bug from a computer program. It's more like removing the brakes from a car because they occasionally squeak. The annoying side effect disappears. But so does one of the systems keeping the whole machine alive. This is one of evolution's oldest rules. Natural selection rarely builds perfect solutions. It builds good enough solutions. If one version of the immune system kills 1% of people through allergic reactions, but another version allows deadly parasites to spread throughout entire populations, the first system wins, but this still leaves one mystery unsolved. If allergies are such an ancient evolutionary system, why do some people suffer terribly, while others can roll around in pollen all day without sneezing once? The answer lies in something evolution almost never produces: binary traits. There isn't a single allergy gene. There isn't one mutation that suddenly switches allergies on or off. Instead, scientists have discovered hundreds of tiny genetic variations. Each one nudges the immune system slightly. Some influence how much IgE your body produces. Others alter how sensitive mast cells become. Some affect the skin barrier. Others influence inflammatory signaling. Individually, their effects are almost invisible. Together, they determine where your immune system draws the line between harmless and dangerous. Identical twin studies demonstrate this beautifully. If one identical twin develops allergies, the other is significantly more likely to develop them as well, but not always, which tells us something fascinating. Genes load the gun. The environment often pulls the trigger. The microbes you encounter as a child, the infections you experience, the air you breathe, even the biodiversity surrounding where you grow up. All of these interact with your genetic blueprint to shape how your immune system behaves decades later. Your immune system isn't programmed, it's trained, and every person's training looks slightly different. Perhaps the strangest part of this entire story is that allergies may be one of the prices we pay for possessing one of the most sophisticated immune systems on Earth. Humans don't just survive. We occupy almost every environment on the planet: frozen tundra, dense rainforest, deserts, mountains, cities. Our immune system evolved to handle an astonishing variety of biological threats. That flexibility came with complexity, and complexity almost always creates opportunities for mistakes. Engineers know this. The more advanced a machine becomes, the more ways it can fail. Evolution is no different. The same immune system, capable of recognizing thousands of dangerous organisms, occasionally mistakes harmless pollen for an enemy. The same inflammatory pathways that repair damaged tissue sometimes attack peanuts. The same mast cells that may save your life after venom exposure can also make your eyes water every spring. These aren't separate systems, they're the same system, doing exactly what millions of years of evolution taught it to do, just in a world that no longer resembles the one it evolved in. When most people think about allergies, they imagine a biological mistake, a design flaw, an unfortunate accident that evolution somehow forgot to fix, but the evidence tells a completely different story. Your immune system wasn't built for modern suburbs, air-conditioned homes, or supermarket food. It was forged in a world where parasites, venom, wounds, and infections surrounded our ancestors every single day. In that world, responding too aggressively was usually far less dangerous than responding too slowly. Natural selection didn't optimize your immune system for comfort. It optimized it for survival. From evolution's perspective, a few weeks of sneezing every spring was an acceptable price to pay for an immune system capable of detecting parasites, neutralizing toxins, repairing damaged tissue, and keeping you alive long enough to reproduce. Allergies aren't evidence that evolution failed. They're evidence that your immune system is still following instructions written for a world that disappeared thousands of years ago. Your body isn't confused. It's simply fighting yesterday's battles in today's world.